Hey guys, I want to give you the latest updates on the trial of Thomas Cashman, who is the accused killer of 9-year-old Olivia Pratt-Corbell, who was shot dead in her own home as the mad gunman was chasing his intended target, Joseph Nee, who fled into the Corbell home. The gunman shot a couple of times. One bullet hit Cheryl Corbell, Olivia's mother, in the hand. The bullet travelled all the way through her hand and hit little Olivia in the chest, killing her. So this is the beginning of the third week of the trial of Thomas Cashman. And it's defence's turn. And Thomas Cashman this afternoon took the stand. The Liverpool Echo has put a transcript of everything that was said whilst Cashman was on the stand. So I'm going to read you what they've written. And this is between Cashman, who's TC, and JC, who is Mr. Cooper, the attorney for Cashman. Let's get going. Cashman stands, places his right hand on the Bible, and he's sworn. He confirms his full name as Thomas Edward Cashman and his age being 34. His date of birth is September 4th, 1988. Mr. Cooper asks if he has a drink of water and Cashman says, "I've got water, yeah." Cashman says he was born in Liverpool. "Is that really your home all your life?" He agrees. "I want to ask you about your family. Your mum and dad brought you up." "Yes, I've got 2 brothers and 2 sisters, Kevin, Leanne." He says he has 2 half-siblings, Colleen and Stephen. Cashman is asked about Kevin, who is age 42. Colleen Cashman, half-sibling, is 35. "How close are you to your brother and sisters? Is it a good relationship?" "Yeah, very good." Mr. Cooper asks about his parents' relationship. Cashman says his mum and dad separated. Not for our whole childhood. They separated and they got back together. "How old were you when you left school?" "I left school when I was 13, 14. That's odd. You leave school at 16 in the UK. "Did you ever go back to school?" "No." "How old were you when you got your first job?" "I was 16, delivering newspapers for a local shop." "Did you then move on to other work?" "I worked at a car wash on Princess Drive, yeah, just washing cars." "When you left the car wash, did you go on to other work?" "I went from washing cars to working in Wales on a fair." "Did you get homesick?" "It was too far up and down all the time. I just gave in with it." "How old were you when you were in Wales working at the fair?" "I'm not too sure. About 16, 17. "When did you first start smoking cannabis?" "Around that time. I was smoking every day, yeah." Mr. Cooper asks, "Who's Kaylee?" Cashman says, "Kaylee's my partner. I moved to Huyton in 2000. I met Kaylee in 2001. I was about 11, 12. "You were only 11, 12 at the time. Did you immediately get on?" "Yeah." "As you got older, did you remain friends?" "Yeah, I've been with Kaylee from then till now." "When did things start getting attentive? I wouldn't say sexual at that stage as you were children. When did you realise there was an attraction?" "When we were younger, we were just kids messing about. When I was about 14, 15, we started doing things we shouldn't have been." "You were childhood sweethearts?" "Yeah." "You met as kids, you grew up together and were attracted to each other?" "Yeah." "Has there ever been a time in your life when Kaylee hasn't been part of it?" "When we were younger, we'd always split up a bit and then we'd end up back together." "Are you still with her?" "Yeah." "Has she been attending court?" "Every day, yeah." "Did you start living together?" "Yeah." "When did that happen?" "I'm not really sure. Late teens, 20, something like that, about 19 or something." Mr. Cooper asks, "When you returned from Wales and the fair, you started smoking cannabis regularly. Did you continue when you returned to Liverpool?" "Yeah." "How old were you then?" 16, 17, 17, yeah." "Did there come a time when you started selling it?" "Yeah, I started selling cannabis when I was around 18. "Why did you start selling cannabis?" "Because I smoked it every day. I was selling cannabis and smoking my profit." "To begin with, was it on a major scale or just small scale stuff?" "Small scale, 10 bags, 20 bags, green, skunk." "How much were you making a week or a month?" "I was basically smoking my profit. I wouldn't have much 50 quid, and I'd keep the rest. I'd smoke the profit. Was there any time after you started this route down the road with cannabis when you stopped? I stopped selling cannabis when my missus got pregnant with my little boy. I just needed to change my life around, basically. I didn't want to just keep selling cannabis. I've got 2 children now, a little boy and a little girl. My boy's 14 and my girl's 4. When I was arrested, I was with them, with my family, at home. Mr. Cooper continues, when Kaylee became pregnant with your son, did she want to settle in Liverpool? Cashman replies, we were living in Liverpool at the time. It was the local area where we've always lived, so yeah. At one stage you lived in Runcorn, didn't you? Yeah. Then you got the keys to Grenadier Drive. Yeah. Did you move into Grenadier Drive about Christmas 2021? It was just after Christmas, just before New Year. At that stage, what was the level of your cannabis dealing? It was high level. Over what period did it go from lower level dealing you described of smoking your own profit to this higher level? It was the older I got, the more sensible I was. I only ever sold it in my area where I'd been brought up. Everyone I sold to I knew. I ended up selling in large amounts. You accept you're a cannabis dealer? Yes, I was a cannabis dealer. At the time of this tragic event, were you a cannabis dealer? Yes, I was. Were you a high-level cannabis dealer? Yes, I was selling kilos of skunk and pollen. One's like grass and one's like solid. I was selling it in kilos. You sold it to people in your area? Only people in my area, yeah. My area's called Finchy, like Finch Lane. That's the area. Finch Lane, Princess Drive, things like that, yeah. How would it work? It's not like people go into a shop. People obviously buy it off you. How did it happen? It depends. Sometimes I get them to my sister's house on Mab Lane. Sometimes I would take them to their house. Mr. Cooper asked him to keep his voice up. This is important and it may become more important later. He asks, why would you sometimes take the drugs to your sister's house? My sister lived with her boyfriend. She was only there a couple of days a week. I get up, I go first to my sister's house. Why? It's just somewhere I could plot off. It weren't always left at my sister's house. I get someone to drop them off at my sister's house, and within an hour they'd be gone from my sister's house. Where would you take them? Snowberry Road or Nicky McHay's? It was a stash house where I'd stash my drugs or money. A stash house, a safe house. Mr. Cooper asks about Cashman's sister's house. My sister's boyfriend was an ex-police officer. He's retired now. He was for 15 years. When he would show up, I'd always have people around the house. I'd always have my mates around. He didn't like it. He got on my sister about it. They were having arguments about me always being there. Did you use other addresses to house your drugs? I was stuck in a rut. I would come out of the house, go to my sister's. I'd have people come into my sister's. I'd work from my sister's. Did she tell you to stop doing it? She said I had to stop having people around the house, and yes, I did. It was on the day of the 22nd. I went in, see my sister, and she told me she'd been having arguments with her boyfriend. She told me to stop having people round my house. Mr. Cooper asks, was there a time when drugs were kept at your brother's house? Cashman replies, yeah, but for them. I would supply my brother's mates and my mates who lived down my brother's. Kevin's house, yeah. Was Kevin aware? Kevin didn't agree with it. He was never there. Kevin got with his girlfriend. His 2 mates kept living at his house. He's not stupid. He did find out and he did warn me more than once. He didn't agree with it. Around August 22nd, 2022, how much money were you making? I was making between $3,000 and $5,000 a week. Wow. Wow. What would you do with the money? I'd buy cars, bikes, save some, go on holidays. I'd just spend it on stuff that I enjoyed, basically. Effectively, this cannabis dealing involves you walking the streets of your patch. Yeah. Only my area only. I never sold it anywhere but my area. It was just kilos to my mates who I grew up with all my life, maybe 5 or 6 people, all in the same area, yeah? What quantity were you dealing in, say, per week? Say 5 kilos, maybe 6 kilos a week on skunk. Then I'd get a couple of kilos of pollen as well, a range of 5 to 10. Mr. Cooper asks about Joseph Nee and the Nee family. They're all my friends. They've been for the last 10 years. How did you meet? We just live in the same area. We got to know each other through living in the same area as each other. Mr. Cooper asks if he had any issues with the Knees. Cashman replies, no, I've never had any problems with the Knee family ever. They've always been my friends. Cashman is asked what he spoke to the Knees about. Mostly cars and bikes and things like that. They like motorbikes and cars, and I have motorbikes and cars. I'd see them a lot, like, yeah. I know where his mum's house is. I know where a couple of the brothers live. The day before, I was at his mother's house with the brothers, with Joseph and Jamie as well. Mr. Cooper asks, did Joseph Nee spend a lot of time at his mum's house? I'm not sure. Or his brother's house. From what I knew, he was always local, yeah. They always lived in Dovecot. They're always local, yeah. You'd know exactly where to find him. If I was driving round and I'd see them, I'd always stop and speak to them. The day before, you're at Joseph Nee's brother's home with Joseph Nee. His brothers as well, Jamie and Scott and Robert. At the family home, nothing unusual about that, not at all. What were you all talking about? Jamie Nee just got a brand new Audi RS6. They were talking about his new car that he'd just got. Was it friendly? Of course, yeah. Any problems? No, nothing whatsoever. When you parted company on August 21st, 2022, how were things between you? All good, same, every time we see each other. Mr. Cooper asks, do you know Paul Abraham? He likes his drink a lot. You'd see him in a nice way, he'd be pissed. I'd never stop and speak to him. Do you know Timothy Naylor? I've knew him since I was a kid, yeah. I knew him as Timmy. I just know him from the area. We'll stop, ask each other how we are. I'd never go out and socialise with him. That's about it. Ever had any problems with them? Never have, no. As far as the Corbell family are concerned, did you know them? No, I did not know them. Did you know Ryan Conway? Yeah, I knew him for years. He's my best friend's cousin's best friend. Cashman says he had no problem whatsoever with him. Mr. Cooper asks about the witness who cannot be identified for legal reasons. Did you ever make any confession of any type about the events of the 22nd? Thomas Cashman. No, I didn't make no exclamation at all, whatsoever. I didn't see her that night. Mr. Cooper asks how we got to know the witness. I got to know her through her partner, Paul. I'd sell cannabis to Paul Russell. When I go round to see him about cannabis, I'd speak to his girl, and I got to know her a bit better. I knew Paul Russell since I moved around the area well over 10 years ago. He sells cannabis. To what level did Paul Russell sell cannabis? He sells it in kilos himself to other people, but he also sells it in 20 bags, 50 bags, ounces, stuff like that. Cashman confirms he supplied Russell with cannabis and asked how much cannabis he would supply. It depends on what he wanted at the time. Approximately how many times did you take him cannabis? I couldn't say. Did there come a time when he owed you money? Yes, 25,000. I gave him 5 kilos of cannabis, skunk, about 3 weeks prior to... On August 22nd, 2022, had he paid this money? No, he hadn't paid it, no. Mr. Cooper returns to the anonymous witness and how he got to know her. Cashman says, I'd go round and see Paul Russell and she'd be at the house. That's the only way I can explain it, at her house. It was like a council house, they were boyfriend and girlfriend. When you first met her through Paul Russell, did you act together as a threesome, go out drinking or whatever? We'd never go out socialising together, no, she'd be in the house. I'd always speak to her when I go and see Paul Russell. Was there any other reason you were going around to see Paul Russell? No, I would never socialise with Paul. I'd go around, I'd see him, I'd sell him cannabis, I'd go around, have a little spliff with him. Did there come a time when matters developed between you and her? Yes. How did that start? I was going round there. One time I went round, I asked for Paul. She said she's sick of him and she wanted a real man, things like that. I just said, OK, sound. She said, why don't you come round later, come and have a spliff with me? Let's be frank about this. Were you attracted to her? Not at first, no. She said to you she was sick of Paul and wanted a real man. She said she wanted a real man, yeah. How did you feel when she said that? To be honest, I didn't like it at first. I thought I wouldn't like my missus to say that about me to one of my mates. I ignored it. Nothing really happened there and then. Nothing happened, no. Did she ask you to do anything? She asked me that time to come round and I never went round, I just left it. I seen her a couple more times and she was saying the same thing basically. Just saying to come round, having a spliff and chill with her. I knew where it was going, so I didn't go. Did you want to go where you thought it was going? Not at that stage, no. I knew I wouldn't end up sleeping with her if I went round. You declined her invitation? Yes. How was your relationship with Kaylee? My relationship was good. Did you ever have any intention of leaving Kaylee and your family for anyone? No, never. Nobody whatsoever. During the time she was coming on to you, was Paul Russell aware of this? Not at first, no. How long did that process take? I'm not sure. I just remember seeing her one day. She had been doing her PT. She was like, get round to ours. She had a nice bum, basically. Seen her bum and thought, do you know what? I'm going to go around and see her. Mr. Cooper asks him to keep his voice up. Mr. Cooper continues, you went round. I went later on in the night and we slept together. Where was Paul Russell? He was fishing. You had sex with her? Yeah. Was that the last time you had sex with her? No. Did it continue? It did, yeah. It was a lot more than 3. I can't put a figure on it, no. It was a lot more than 3. It was over a good period of time. I'm not sure. Time goes quick outside. When I was looking through my papers, she suggested it was June 2020. I was having sex with her up to 22. It was a good 18 months. It was a long time, yeah. Paul Russell, as far as you were aware, hadn't a clue. Not at first he didn't know. Was there an occasion when you thought Kaylee might find out? Yeah, I went round there one night. I was on the park walking my dog. My dog was off the lead. The dog chased these kids and they screamed. I put my dog on the lead and gave him a smack on the back. She said to me to come round later that night. She was a little stressed out because of the incident the day before. I was feeling a bit sorry for her. I went round in the night time and we slept together. Mr. Cooper asks where they had sex and Cashman says in the kitchen. She was upset about what happened the day before. What had happened? Somebody got shot. 9 times he got shot. This was the shooting I asked her about. 5 gunshots were discharged. It was 9. She was the first person over to help him. This was still on her mind when you met her the following day. Yeah. You told us she went back to the home and you had sex in the kitchen. We had sex in the kitchen, yeah. This wasn't a planned event. You met by chance outside and decided on the spur of the moment to have sex in her kitchen. Yeah. What were you wearing? I can't remember what I was wearing. A tracksuit, something like that. Did anything happen that made you worry about Kaylee? We didn't have enough time to take our clothes off. We had sex in the kitchen. I was standing there rolling a cigarette, a spliff. I noticed on my pants I had all white stuff over my pants and the bottom of my T-shirt, my trousers. It was just on the top of my trousers and the bottom of my T-shirt. It was all white stuff that had come off her. Cashman confirms the substance was the product of having sex. I just looked down and seen it all. I asked for a cloth. I asked for something to wipe it, but it was a lot. I asked her to get me a tracksuit bottoms and a T-shirt. I got tracksuit bottoms and a T-shirt off her. Why were you anxious to change? I was going home to Kaylee. She didn't know what was going on. He is asked about the clothes he was given. They were just a pair of tracksuit bottoms and a T-shirt. Cashman says he took his dirty clothing to his sister's house. Did you have sex after that? No, I don't think so. Not that I can remember. Did Kaylee ever get to know what was going on? No, Kaylee never ever knew until I come away and I was in prison. I broke her heart basically when I told her. How did that make you feel, Mr. Cashman? It wasn't nice, it hurt. I broke my own heart by telling her because I broke her heart. How was the witness, apart from having sex? Was she loving, tender, or was she abrupt? It was a bit of fun for me. It weren't about no love. If I was out and about in the area and I'd pop in there, I know it's not nice, but when I felt like I'd sleep with her. Did she understand the boundaries? It was just going round having fun. The more it went on, the worse it was getting. She was asking me what's going on with us. I was like, what do you mean? I told her I'd never leave Kaylee for her. Mr. Cooper asks if the witness would get angry. She'd always get a bit angry and start an argument. I'd leave and then I wouldn't go back for a while because I thought it was time to get away from the situation. I'd always go back, I'd see her and she'd get on me. She threatened me with Kaylee to let her know what was going on. She says I couldn't perform when I went round. I was always under so much pressure. I couldn't perform myself because my mind was everywhere. It weren't in the right place. I was going round to try and keep her happy. She was insistent on telling us about that. You couldn't perform because of the stress. It wasn't a particularly loving relationship from your side. No, not at all, never. The words I'd say to her is, it's just fun. What did you get the impression she wanted? She wanted me to herself. She didn't want me to go back with Kaylee. She wanted me to stay with her. She asked me once to move away with her. That's when I thought this is getting a bit bad. I thought enough was enough. Cashman says he, Mr. Russell's brother, Ben Russell, that the witness wanted to move away and had spoken about sharing porn content of herself online. However, he says he did not tell Ben Russell he'd been sleeping with the witness. Cashman says, Paul went round and caused murder with her. She's not happy with me a lot. He says at one stage the witness told him she wanted to run away to Marbella with him. It was something I didn't want no part of. I had Kaylee, and she was a bit of fun for me. I told her no. Cashman is asked why he told Russell's brother. He says, I just thought it was getting a bit much. She's still with Paul at the time. I thought it was time to tell them what she was about to do. I wanted to end it. How did Paul react? Paul went mad. He didn't go mad with me. He didn't know that. She just said, I've caused murder for her and Paul. Mr. Cooper asks him to clarify what the slang murder means. A lot of trouble, like stress, trouble. How did she react to you when she realised you caused this trouble? She went mad herself. The court will remember the WhatsApp messages about what she thought about you, at times wanting to ruin you and others being infatuated with you. Were you aware she was infatuated with you? I never knew she was so much what she was. She was mentioning stuff from years back, and I couldn't even remember. When she was obsessed with me, I didn't think it was to that extent, no. She accepts she was obsessed with you. Did that surprise you? A little bit. I was just thinking to myself, what have I got myself into here? Cashman says there was an occasion he promised to go on holiday with the witness, but says he never followed through. Mr. Cooper asks, you told the court there came a time when you stopped having sex with her. When was the last time you had sex? I'm not sure. It was sometime in July. I want to ask you about the day before the shooting. What sort of things were you doing? The same stuff I was doing any other day. I was like stuck in a rut. I'd wake up, go to my sister's, takes a sip of water. Just dealing cannabis, my day-to-day activities, dropping a bit of cannabis off or collecting a bit of money, stopping at my mates, having a spliff with them. I was doing that every single day. I was always in and out all the time. Mr. Cooper says there will be a suggestion by the prosecution that Cashman was scoping things out in order to shoot Joseph Nee. What do you say about that? That's untrue. He is asked of his visit to Nee's house on August 21st. I was at Joseph's mum's house with Joseph, Jamie, Robert, Scott, and two of our other friends, Ryan Conway and David Cheshire. What were you driving? I was in my van, Citroen Berlingo. He says he owned the van for a couple of months. Weren't you doing anything that day in connection with scoping out for the shooting in future? No, I wasn't. That is all the court will hear today. Mr. Cooper will continue his questioning in the morning. The trial is adjourned until 10 a.m. on Wednesday. So hopefully the Liverpool Echo puts another transcript on, and I will continue that as soon as they do. All right, guys, let me know your thoughts below. As always, I'll see you very soon in the next video.